Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. And today's guest, I welcome back good friend of mine, Chris Taylor, co-founder of Pipeline 44. Chris, welcome back onto the channel. It's good to have you here, mate.
It's good to speak to you again, man. I know it's been actually been a while since we've caught up privately, anyway. Actually, isn't it? So
Yeah,
good to catch up.
little while, but it's good to finally speak, and hopefully we're going to bring the audience and those that watch some good content here. And today's topic and what we're going to be covering off, as you've seen by the title, is everything to do with LinkedIn, and actually the power of LinkedIn, to which many people may not really know, because I suppose LinkedIn, if we were to put it in ranking of social medias, it's probably classed as one of the lower ones in terms of it's a little bit boring, it's a little bit tedious, the engagement isn't there, but the power and the actual reach is certainly within LinkedIn, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's interesting that you say that, because if you'd have asked me about 2 years ago, I would have said the same thing. For the people that don't know who I am, my background was on Instagram. That's kind of how we started talking, wasn't it? And I was on that platform purely because of kind of the story that I had. So I had a property business that I built, and I kind of vlogged and documented the journey over on Instagram, and the engagement was there. It was absolutely incredible. We generated lots of business. We raised a lot of finance. But what I found over time was that it wasn't as effective, and I really started to lose the traction that I built. So I started to look at different avenues, and I went on a course. Actually, it was about 2.5 years ago now. And I learned all about LinkedIn and how it worked. And then I saw a Gary Vaynerchuk video that basically said LinkedIn's now the Facebook of 2012, and that people should go all in on it. Now, I didn't really listen to it back then, but over the past about a year or so, I've been really focusing in on it. And what I've noticed from a growth perspective, so attaining an audience, and also from an engagement point of view with content performance, that I can get more reach on that platform than anywhere else right now. There's elements to it in terms of how you can play the content game on LinkedIn really, really well. But right now, for organic reach, if you can get the right content out there, it's a game changer over a platform, especially in the B2B space. It's literally the one to focus on for me right now, definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And for anyone watching with LinkedIn, it's very much a case of the audience is there, but I find that you have to prospect a little bit more. So if you are someone that is looking to grow business and actually really do some really good deals and meet some genuine, like businessmen or businesswomen, they are on LinkedIn. I mean, they are there. The titles are there. So just to sort of start very much from the beginning, and then we'll get into a little bit more detail. For someone starting out on LinkedIn, I certainly find it's really important to set up your profile that says who you are and the service that you can offer, opposed to the amount of info that you can put on, say, the likes of Facebook or Instagram. LinkedIn, you can set up very much as exactly what your business does. So how important from day one is the profile setup?
Crucial. I mean, it's like, again, most people look at LinkedIn as like their CV. And I think that's very much the way it was looked at when I was back in my job a number of years ago. And therefore, what it says really is meant to sell you in the right way. And whether we like it or not, people are judging us left, right, and centre. So if you've not got that almost front of shop absolutely nailed, you're going to lose out on opportunity. And it's something I recently did a video on over on my channel, actually, in terms of how you can get one right. But fundamentally, it's the same as any social media channel. If you don't give somebody a reason to follow or connect with you, then it's never going to generate you the results that you could generate. The second part to it is people always moan on social that they can't generate leads. But actually, if you actually look at their profiles, you can't even work out what it is that you're meant to buy from them. And therefore, it's like, well, I'm not going to be able to inquire. I'm not going to be able to recommend unless it clearly states what it is that you do and what you specialize in. So coming back down to the real basics of it, all it is just understanding what it is that you do, how you help people, and what is it that people are actually interested in. Give people that reason. And what happens over time is, as long as you're connecting, people will start to accept those connection requests, and then your audience starts to build.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And for those that are watching with the profile, I have found that the less information you put, so if you're I've always found this, and I've had several conversations about setting up a profile. I think it needs to be, even the setup just needs to be really professional, really precise, and to the point, because I found that there's a difference between the profiles, you've probably seen them as well, Chris, where they're really in detail. And it's almost like your entire life. And what I would say for anyone watching this is, don't put your life story in there. Keep it really nice and brief, exactly what you do and the service that you can offer within your bio, and have it really nicely set up. What I want to just touch on very quickly, because a lot of people are interested in this, and I find that this is one of the best benefits to LinkedIn, and I'm sure you found this as well, is the ability to tap into finance so much more through LinkedIn than you can on Instagram. I find Instagram, you draw in an audience and then you have to spark a conversation. Whereas LinkedIn, you could put out a post requesting finance and the conversations can begin, because people will get in touch because there's a lot more businessmen and businesswomen willing to perhaps get involved in a finance deal. So when it comes to raising capital, how much better is LinkedIn opposed to other platforms?
I think it comes down to how you use it. I do agree. It's very much a platform of which people are on there to do business rather than a traditional B2C platform like Instagram. Let's be really quite frank here. But I think that there's a bit before that, actually, before the posting that enabled me to raise finance back in my property business from LinkedIn. And that was the way that we used to search. So what I love about it is the fact that we know when it comes to people that wanted to invest, the people that we wanted to work with lacked time or they lacked knowledge. They were one of the two things. That's why they wanted to work with us. And therefore, what we looked for were people that had high income generating jobs, but predominantly wouldn't have the time or the knowledge. And therefore, I'll give you my targeting right now of how I did it. I was looking for sales directors, managing directors, CEOs, C-suite execs in City of London, who I knew. Lawyers are another one, accountants are another one, doctors are another one. All these people that are absolutely rampant busy, that they know they need to be investing their funds, but they haven't got the time or they've not got the inclination to do it. So what we used to do was we used to put content out which just really showcased the deals and what we were working on. And then we used to proactively connect with no real, I guess, ambition to sell people anything. That's where LinkedIn has its bad rep, right? It was more of, look, I'm just adding people into my network. I talk about this stuff. If you find it interesting, then come and connect with me and have a look and see what you think. And then if you ever want to talk or ask any questions about how you can work with us, then please feel free to reach out. So you've got two aspects to what we call social selling in terms of the methodology that we look at. You've got outbound and you've got inbound. And the outbound stuff is more what you're talking about here, is like the prospecting, going out there, speaking to people, knowing that they're in the right frame of mind to have a conversation. And then you've got the inbound, which again is the bit that I really love, which is I'm just going to create content to make conversations easy. And when you nail that down, it's really simple in the way that you go about doing it. When you do it consistently, it's amazing how your results come from the power of compounding, which I know we absolutely love, right?
Absolutely. And it is. And something I really love about LinkedIn, and I really want to stress this for anyone watching, is the power of the keyword search. Because unlike Facebook, you can, yes, on Facebook, but more so on LinkedIn opposed to like something like Twitter or Instagram, is you can really get that fine detail of that search engine, can't you? Because like you said, and I used to do it in the past. I've been on LinkedIn since about 2015, and I was keyword searching. What I've learned over time is if you're looking for that certain individual, not only can you hone in on selecting that people filter, but you can do the business filter, location filter, so you can really niche down on your potential customer. You don't get that on other platforms. And I think because it's not really exciting LinkedIn, I think people really overlook it. But look, if you are looking to do some incredible business, that keyword search, that engine that it has is so powerful. And, you know, what's your thoughts on really using that key? Because obviously we can use it UK, Dubai, Hong Kong, wherever it is. On the keyword.
Yeah, so I think again there's different elements of search. There's different levels that you can go down to. You've got the traditional filtering that you can do on LinkedIn, and then you have Boolean search as well. So it's a different terminology altogether. You can go on YouTube and Google and whatever to find videos on Boolean search. I don't have to give you an in-depth training on it right now, but basically when you're doing those filters, it's not as efficient as you could make it. By going down Boolean search, you can get it really down to the pinpoint of person that you're really trying to talk to. And for business, in terms of the way that I'm looking to work and approach people, I can go out there and I can find the C-suite execs for multinational corporations, knowing that I can actually help them. And by getting inside of their accounts, being able to actually network, connect, get content out in front of them, I get the opportunity to be seen, which unfortunately on the other socials right now, unless you're willing to dance and mime on TikTok, it's pretty difficult to get attention. And when you're on LinkedIn right now, the algorithm is so heavy in terms of pushing organic because their ads and their advertising platform is so weak. They're really trying to actually encourage people to get more and more out there. So it's a huge opportunity. And the best time to start would have been 2 years ago, would have been 3 years ago. But otherwise, now is the best time to get going, as they always say. It's that famous Chinese proverb, isn't there, about planting a tree. It's very similar in that fact. Using that search term in the right way, using Sales Nav in the right way to be able to build a list, which is a different thing altogether, just enables you to be able to build a prospecting list and a database of people that you can start to proactively build relationships with. That relationships word is the key thing. It's having the mentality of how can I help these people rather than how can I get. I think that's the kind of mentality to have.
Oh, absolutely. And I think with LinkedIn, you have so much opportunity. I don't know if you have any techniques that you're able to share with the audience, but something that I use, which I find works really well. And for anyone watching, note this down because it really does. You have to be consistent with it. Is I see you do them a lot as well, Chris, is put out a poll. I found you get quite good engagement off the polls. I'll turn around and I'll look at it and I've got like 35, 40 votes. And with LinkedIn, you can put out these really active polls where you can get engagement, and you can put a poll about kind of the business that you're within and giving 4 or 5 options to what they would prefer. And if there's one of those options where that you've got a bit of a target there and you've got a bit of an entry, that's, click on that. It gives you the list of names and there's your entry. So there's those really sort of sweet spot techniques. Do you use similar ones?
Yeah. So there's different content types on different platforms that are kind of like the content type of the day, so to speak. So Instagram is Reels right now. We all know this. It's the one that you've got to post there to be able to put out there. YouTube is Shorts. Shorts are going absolutely bonkers right now on YouTube right now. With LinkedIn, polls are everywhere. And it's the way that the algorithm's weighted. Again, no one really knows what it does, but every poll that I do right now, if you get it right and it's appropriate to your business, again, I talk about content in a very different way to most people talk about it. Our strategy is I have one content type to generate loads of views. I have another content type which builds the relationship. And then I have another content type that actually generates and converts someone into a lead. Most people just post and hope and kind of hope for the best with it. Whereas what we're doing is building a strategy behind it. So I'll put out 2 to 3 polls a week, and those polls will, again, depending on the topic and the way that we frame them, will reach 40,000 to 150,000 people, depending on. That's the power of LinkedIn. I've only got a following of 8,000 people on that platform, and I'm able to reach that many. You can't do that on any social platform right now. It's absolutely incredible. So we put a poll out, content type of the day. What we then do is anybody that engages, and we try to encourage conversation. So if you go and look at my profile at all, you'll see it. I'm very strongly opinionated on things. And what that then does is that encourages people to agree with me and disagree with me. And what LinkedIn operates on is something called dwell time. So the amount of time someone spends on your content will determine how far it then goes. So the more conversation that I can get going on my posts, they're more likely to remember me when I reach out and connect and then send a message. So when it comes to using the right content, it's about, bear in mind, we're talking about business here. Business is a people thing, right? It's about understanding how people works. You can actually get the attention of some serious thought leaders and CEOs and investors where you wouldn't be able to get them anywhere else just by creating an ice-breaking piece of content to get them conversing. The trick and the tactic is understanding what topic's going to trigger them to get them conversing with you.
Oh, I love it. And the thing is, with LinkedIn, I find that the conversations are a slightly next level to perhaps what you might find on another platform. So, for example, when you're having conversations on Instagram, it's very instant, it's very quick. Now, what I find with LinkedIn is that you may be having conversations with a CEO that you don't really know that owns a company that's a 30 million turnover. So the conversation and the reach and the potential of what you could have with that new relationship that is literally just around the corner, I find is not only one exciting because the power of LinkedIn to your reach. I just want to share something very quickly with the audience and yourself, Chris. There was someone individually that I was trying to get hold of on LinkedIn for some time who recently reached out to me via voting on one of my polls. I got in contact with him, and now we're going to be meeting up to have a coffee in the new year. This particular individual not only subscribes to my channel, has a turnover of 120 million on his company's house. If you go on his company's house right now, it's 120 million turnover. I find that with Instagram, I love it. And look, I'll be back, in the new year. But I find that you're more likely to bump into an influencer than someone who has a company of 100 million, who could open up tens, if not thousands of doors for you to go on to work with them. So just that power of who you might bump into is huge, isn't it, using LinkedIn?
Completely, yeah. I mean, social's all about, again, I said it at the beginning, like building relationships. That's all it's here for. People are so inhuman on these platforms. They're so robotic and lack emotion, and therefore they're never going to get results, because who really wants to talk to somebody that's got no interest in them whatsoever? And I think, again, with Instagram, there's a strategy to be able to work that platform. With LinkedIn, for me, you're just speaking to people that want to have conversation. And as long as you're doing it right, you can generate some real consistent opportunity on there. And again, there's lots of people getting this wrong and absolutely spamming every single person they come into contact with. And it's like, you're never going to get results that way. But if you treat this in the way that it's meant to be treated, you post content, you engage on the platform, and you prospect properly, coming from a place of service and helping others, it's only a matter of time before you start seeing the results, because that's just what happens in life. It's just what happens in business. And that's kind of the approach I've had. Everything I talk about is just from my own experience, really. Like, that's all I've done. There's no rocket science behind it. It's just really, really simple and consistently doing it day after day.
Do you think there's a method as well? I think this is something that's overlooked. When people start any sort of form of platform, do you think not enough people perhaps who lose their way along the way and post randomly, do you think they really know why they're going onto it? Do you think knowing exactly why you're going to be starting, and also having the mentality of, right, I'm not going on here just to be an individual who's going to post every now and again. I'm going on here starting as I mean to go on, and this is going to be a business going forward. I must know my beginning, middle, and end to why I'm doing this and why I'm posting. But do you think not enough people start with that in mind?
I think the majority have a LinkedIn account because it was the thing that they were meant to have when they started in work. That's the main reason people have one. It's the same reason people have an Instagram account or a Facebook account. Like, YouTube's probably the only one which you purposely create to do something that's real focused in on business. The rest of them you have because everybody else has them. And I think with this, people come into it and with that post and hope strategy, and they're not building their network, and therefore it's not going to be seen. And there's such simple foundations and principles to follow on this. It's understanding who you're trying to help, what's your purpose of being on there, and actually, when it comes to generating results, are you actually doing the things that give you the actual return? It's like investing. It's like, if you're not going to do it properly, don't do it at all. It's something which you've got to actually put your effort into, and it doesn't take much. 5, 10, 15 minutes a day of doing the right things, that over time compounds into actually giving you the results that you're looking for. Most people come onto these platforms expecting overnight results, and not being funny, when was the last time you walked into a networking room, shook someone's hand or gave them an elbow touch, or just stayed socially distanced, and suddenly they gave you 50 to 100 grand's worth of investment? Doesn't happen. Like, it's understanding that everything that we're doing online is just magnified of what happens offline. And if you can actually take those principles of meeting people, having conversations, schmoozing them, taking them out for drinks, taking them out for dinner, but actually you're just doing that in an online capacity to support your offline work. As soon as you marry them up together, that's when you start to see the fruits of your labor. So yeah, for me, it's just about understanding that it's not online or offline. It's the combination of both. And all you're doing with a LinkedIn profile or an Instagram profile is building your reputation. It's building the amount of people that know who you are and what you do. And if you can get that principle right, you're going to start to see the results in that 90, 120, 365-day period.
Amazing. And when it comes to the network, because obviously we touched on that there, this is something else that I suppose is a question that's asked quite often. And to be honest, I've even asked myself it at times, but I'm a little bit more picky now, I suppose, on who I would accept is, do you accept every request that comes through? Because if you're in property and you have someone who's a cleaner, do you accept that request? Is there a possibility of collaboration in the future? Do you accept everyone, or are you picky on your network as you grow?
I think it depends on the amount of followers and connections that you have. So I believe the latest number is you can have 25,000 connections or it's 30,000. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
So when you get closer to those numbers, that's when I think you have to be more picky with who you accept and who you don't, because you don't want to accept everybody at that point. My kind of strategy with this is you never know who that person knows. So with LinkedIn, the power of it is when you accept someone into your connection database, you're not just getting access to them as a connection, you'll most likely see their connections then join your network as well. So what happens is when they engage in a piece of content, it tells their connections they've engaged with your content. Therefore, the bigger your first degree network, the more opportunity you've got to be seen. Now, to come back to your cleaner concept, if that cleaner was so happened to be cleaning for David Beckham, then suddenly I've got a bit of an introduction to David Beckham as we look at it. Now, the likelihood of that being the case is very, very slim. However, there's still a possibility and a probability of it happening. So for me, I accept everybody knowing that no matter who it is, that person most likely knows someone. Like my little brother, who I talk about quite a lot online these days, with what he's up to and what he's got going on. Like he has the same mentality, but he knows his friends down the local rugby club. I'm not looking to connect with them on LinkedIn, most likely, but actually those people down the rugby club probably know people that need some social media help and some LinkedIn and social selling help. However, if I don't add them in, they're never going to know what to do. They're never going to meet me. So I've always had this concept of business that the more people that know what I do, the more opportunity is going to come my way. So yes, I do now. Bearing in mind, I'm only at 8,000 connections on this platform. For the foreseeable future, I'm accepting everybody, just in case that person knows someone that potentially could do business with me. And again, if I can help them, then again, I'm doing my job on that platform at the same time.
Absolutely. And one thing I would definitely second what you've just been saying for anyone watching is the power of introductions. And one thing I love about LinkedIn, and if you don't know this already, this is a little tip. It's something that I do. I don't know if you do this as well, Chris. If you are looking to meet with someone, but you have a first connection on your LinkedIn that knows that person, and you're looking to reach out, and perhaps you don't want it to be such a cold call, is hop onto those endorsements and see if your connections or if they've endorsed them, and see if you can marry them up through endorsements. Because that's another thing. If I was looking to meet Chris, but someone or a friend of mine or a first connection had endorsed Chris, I could go to that first connection and say, look, hey, looking to speak with Chris. Is there any chance you could just put an intro? It takes that outbound cold call out of it, doesn't it? And it's like, someone, that middleman could introduce me. So the power of introduction is amazing. What would be your sort of top 3, 4, 5 tips of someone who's just starting out on LinkedIn to really sort of take it to the next level while being consistent? That's on their part. But what are some top tips?
So the first thing is the first obstacle I always knock over. It's how do I know it's working? So the one thing I always recommend is checking your social selling index from the start. So the social selling index is basically a measurement that shows you how well you're doing on LinkedIn. It gives you a performance score. So if you go to linkedin.com/sales/SSI, I'm sure you can link it in the description. As long as you're logged into your LinkedIn account, you click into it and then it will open up and it will tell you the 4 areas of LinkedIn, from connection building, content, engagement, and list building, how well you're performing. It's out of 100. So again, you can see where you can improve. So that's the first starting point. Then it's your profile. So again, I will always tell people, if your profile is no good, there's no point doing any activity on the platform, because you're just actually showcasing the worst version of yourself rather than the best version of yourself that you could do. So get your profile sorted. Make sure you use the header image. Again, there's videos all over YouTube on this. I've literally done one for profile, so you can go through and just tick it all off. As you then move through it, you've then got the 3 things that you need to be doing consistently. Prospecting, so building your network, adding people, connecting with people that fit your ideal target market every single day. Engaging, so when you connect with somebody, if they are your ideal target market, check what content that they're posting and go out there and actually comment on it and engage on it. The one thing that everybody wants on their content when they put it live is somebody to like it, somebody to comment on it. So bearing in mind, the hardest thing to do on this platform is to get a conversation going, because who's on here really to have just frivolous conversation? No one. The hardest thing to do is get conversation going. So by leaving a comment automatically you've got their attention. They'll remember your name as the person that's left the comment when you slide into the DMs and actually drop them a nice voice note or a nice message. From then, what happens is you get the conversation going. So prospect, engage, and then post. And again, posting doesn't have to be difficult. I have a document that I've given out to everybody. I mean, you can give it out to your audience, Aaron. It's cool. It's 100 content ideas. So you'll never run out of content ideas ever. There's 100 of them, 100 different things that you can talk about, whether it's raising money, making sales, whatever. All the ideas are there to actually showcase who you are, to, again, create the relatability with somebody to get a conversation going. So to sum it all up, they'd be the main things. So check your SSI scores to see where you are, to keep your progress, measure your progress, then get your profile sorted, and then do the 3 things you need to do every single day for 5 to 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how seriously you take it, which is prospect, engage, and post. You do that consistently, you'll then get the results that come through.
That's amazing. And what I want to touch on there just at the end, Chris, is that metric that you just shared with us at the beginning there. Is that similar to, I've heard something called Shield before. Is that similar to what that is?
Different. So Shield is a third-party analytics provider. So I'm an affiliate of Shield. I absolutely love Shield. I think they're brilliant. That will give you all the data that you need on your posts, on your connection growth, and everything like that. Your SSI score is LinkedIn's own internal measurement of how good you are at LinkedIn. Right. So I think mine is currently 81 out of 100. Like my next target is 85. You want to be aiming for a score between 70 and 75 because you have some algorithm increases and it will push your content further when you get there. And what it basically does is it just breaks it down into 4 separate parts, like I mentioned before. So it's not an external tool. It is a free LinkedIn tool to actually showcase where you can improve and how you can get better. Not many people know about it, but I've made it a conscious effort to start talking because progress is how we keep momentum. The moment we don't see progress is the moment we give up. And I do not want people to give up on this platform. It is too powerful right now. In 2-3 years' time, this opportunity won't be here. It will be something else. So capitalize on it while it's here, especially in our space, in this investment space, right? This opportunity is better than any other platform out there, in my opinion, right now. And I use them all. I'm omnipresent on every single one. This is the one. So SSI score, track your progress, keep working on it, keep hustling on it, keep being consistent, and you'll then start to see the rewards of all your efforts.
Awesome tips there, mate. And just to finish off, finally, what's your prediction? Because this is something I always like to know. I think, things change so quickly. What's the future in particular of LinkedIn? What does it look like in perhaps a year, 2 years? Does it evolve? Does it get better? Or will LinkedIn disappear over time?
I don't think LinkedIn will ever disappear over time, purely because it's so unique to every other platform. It was built as a recruitment tool. That was kind of what it was there for. So it's not your typical social media platform. However, it is evolving into that. LinkedIn's about, I'd probably say 7 or 8 years behind the rest of the platform. So the opportunity is really there. They've just introduced new functionality with newsletters and creator mode, which is something completely different again. I think this opportunity is going to continue to grow. The moment it doesn't is the moment I stop talking about it and I talk about something else. I'm so not attached to any of these platforms. I just use the ones that are actually working at the time. And that's kind of what my brand's about. It's about maximizing opportunity. So in a year's time, I expect my following to be around the 25 to 30,000 mark, reaching millions of people. I've kind of already doing that, but more people that I'm currently reaching at the moment. And more opportunity from a positioning point of view. I think the good thing about LinkedIn is that you've got the organic engagement, which you can drive to other places, which you can then start to build a relationship with, whether it's an email list, whether it's a YouTube channel, whatever. It's about capturing the opportunity while it's here. So I'll be using it until the day it stops working, and I'll be the first one to tell you when it does, because that's literally all I do every single day is test and try to find ways of getting more and more attention.
Awesome. Loved it, mate. I think what we've done is we've covered off a huge amount of info around LinkedIn. Yeah. And I would imagine anyone who's just starting out or perhaps wanted to know a little bit more, hopefully all the info was in this video. And if it's not, reach out to both myself and Chris. Chris, if people want to shout you out and sort of give you a follow and reach out to you, where can they go, mate? Where's best?
So LinkedIn, if you type in Chris Taylor Pipeline 44, it will come up. I'm sure we can link it all, right? LinkedIn, Instagram I'm on, and then I have my own YouTube channel which teaches people around social selling and LinkedIn marketing and social media marketing. So if people want like just education and understanding what we're testing in the content agency and the prospecting agency that we have, then come give us a subscribe and follow and drop me a message. I respond to everything, as you know, I respond to every single message that I get. It's me behind it. So yeah, anything I can help with, just drop me a message.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming back on the channel, mate, and look forward to catching up in the new year. And everyone who watched, hopefully there was huge amounts of value, and we will speak to all of you very soon.